Welcome to this episode of Finding Your Range podcast with me, Jeannie, a movement therapist who specialises in working with people with hypermobility, EDS and chronic pain. Well, today's the day. This is our season finale. So it's just me today, and I wanted to spend this time to kind of discuss what the past 15 episodes of Finding Your Range podcast has taught us. So it's kind of a season summary. So it won't take too long. But I thought it was really useful looking back over all the episodes and all our amazing guests, and just seeing some of the commonalities in these stories. When I first launched Finding Your Range, I wanted to talk about things that don't really get discussed a great deal out in the open. I wanted to hear from people living with these conditions, and that's exactly what we did. And, you know, I'm so grateful to everyone who took part in Finding Your Range Season 1. So I just want to run through, in case you missed any of these amazing episodes, I'm just going to share with you what we did. So we had a number of experts come and join us and talk about things that, as I said, you might not hear much about. So our very first guest was Gary Ward, author of What the Foot, and we discussed the hypermobile foot and the implications of having a hypermobile foot. And he raised the really interesting question as to whether our feet are really pronated. So if you want to learn more about that, head over to episode 2 and listen to the amazing Gary Ward. We were then joined by Anna Baratsagurin, who had her beautiful talk on breath. And she explained to us how when you breathe, every cell in your body is breathing. And we had a beautiful meditation. And we were really discussing the importance of learning how to breathe correctly, because many of us with these conditions do have breathing pattern disorders and tend to hold our breath or maybe brace and hold a lot of tension in the body. So we discussed that with Anna. We then heard from Julian Baker in his own unique style, discussing with us fascia and why fascia is important and its implications on hypermobility, discussing things like why we shouldn't be stretching and why there's no such thing as training your core. So a little bit of controversy, going against the grain, but a fantastic and entertaining talk from Julian. And then we had the mind-blowing Dr. Jessica Eccles, who spoke to us about the relationships that she's found through her research between hypermobility, anxiety, fatigue, neurodiversity. I mean, we covered so many things. It was just an amazing interview. So thank you to all our experts. So these people don't have EDS, but you know, we were able to use their experience and their expertise to talk about elements of how their work impacts hypermobility and EDS. Now, we did have some experts who do have EDS, but are using their skills, their experience, their life experiences to help other people with the condition. So we had Bonnie, the lovely dietitian from Brooklyn, I think it is, or New York, sharing her experiences and dietary recommendations when you're living with things like mast cell activation. And we also heard from Natalie, who's a CBT therapist here in the UK, and again, how she uses CBT to help her clients with chronic illnesses. So 2 fascinating interviews, people who have turned their condition into a way of helping other people. So absolutely amazing. Now, we also had a whole host of patient experts. And these are the people who are living with the condition every day, and they shared their experiences. So thank you so much. So we had Dana, who told us her 25-year journey to diagnosis, not uncommon, unfortunately. We heard from Simon, who gave us a unique perspective on how it is for a man living with EDS. Kia talked to us about the reality of living with mast cell activation and how limiting her life can be with this condition. Bethany with her amazing list of management tools. It's probably the best management tools I've ever heard, so well worth a listen. And then we heard from Rachel, who's a teenager, newly diagnosed, navigating her life with this condition. Yasmin and Anushe, two paraclimbers who use climbing to help with their physical and mental health. Really amazing, inspiring ladies. And Laura, also from the US, who had an absolutely extraordinary journey. Amazing and so brave and so determined to find solutions. And then we did have a little panel of experts talking about the truth about exercise. So Robin, Rachel and Bethany joined us to talk about their exercise experiences with EDS. So wow, what an amazing roundup of people who joined us. It was my first ever podcast experience. I absolutely love speaking to all these people and hearing all this, fascinating research and expertise and stories. Now, what could we learn from this? So I've been through all the interviews, and I've mainly with the patient experts, because I wanted to see what was going on there. What could we learn from there? And every single one you listen to, if you've listened to them, and if you haven't, I urge you to go back and have a listen to them. Every single person obviously has a very different experience. With EDS, everyone is different. We're all going to have different symptoms. We're all going to have different presentations, and we're all going to have experienced different journeys. So every story is different, and yet underlying those stories, there is some commonality. There is something very, very similar. So with the exception of two people so Simon, who did get diagnosed as a child, and Rachel, who's obviously a teenager and newly diagnosed, everyone else I interviewed, and this probably won't come as much as a surprise to you, but all those people I interviewed, it was a struggle. It was a struggle to get their diagnosis. It was a struggle to be heard. It was a struggle to be taken seriously. It was a struggle to get answers. And this is what we hear. And then now we have, a small sample of people who confirmed all this trauma, all this struggle that we have to go through to get our diagnosis. Many of them waited a long, long time. He just mentioned earlier, Dana, 25 years to get her diagnosis, myself, 35 years to get my diagnosis. We want, obviously, things have got to change, and hopefully they are changing. We're doing things like this. The EDS Society are doing an amazing work, training people with EDS Echo. We're educating people. We're putting awareness out as much as we can. Let's hope that we can start to listen to those hoofbeats a little bit closer. And people will start to pick up on the subtleties that are often present in EDS and start to join those dots. So that was really interesting. Every journey different, but every journey the same. I also interested to learn and discover how people with this condition do use their passions to help them manage their conditions. So they use their passion, whatever that might be, in an activity way, to manage mentally and physically their condition. So I mentioned earlier that Yasmin and Anushe are paraclimbers. They did an amazing interview telling us why climbing is so important to them and how it is so important for their mental health. We also heard from Simon, so our sort of male representative, how he uses bodyboarding. He loves bodyboarding. He lives down on the coast and he's in the sea, I think, almost every day if he can. He absolutely loves it. It's his medicine. Kia has got two gorgeous dogs. Her activity is agility training with her dog. So she's running around, something she thought she would never be able to do, but her passion for being with her dogs and doing these competitions with her dogs gets her out and gets her doing these activities. And Natalie, our CBT therapist, uses dancing. I mean, her whole face lit up when she talked about her dancing. So it looks like if we have something we can really hold on to and grasp, it can really, really help through those dark days. And of course, we discussed that issue, that awful question of, well, you don't look sick, so how can you be doing all of these things? We discussed that in particular with Anusha and Yasmin, and with our exercise panel. And it's devastating to hear that. People don't see what goes on behind the scenes. They see you, doing your thing, enjoying yourself. They don't see how you feel after. They don't see what you had to sacrifice to get to that event. So yeah, heartbreaking. The impact of words. It's very, very powerful. And that's something that, we need to be mindful of, or hopefully people will become more aware of when speaking to people who have a chronic illness. So I think also it's quite apparent that, we need a multidisciplinary approach. People have lots of tools in their toolkits. There isn't a magic bullet, unfortunately, to manage this condition. I wish there was. Lots of things can go into the mix and help find a way that works for you. And that's brilliant. For me, it's my movement therapy, it's my meditation, it's my diet, it's my sleep, it's factoring rest during the day when I can. It's removing stressors from my life. People have got lots and lots of different tools and applications that they use to help them get through the day and manage, the things that they really want to be doing. So, find that way that works for you. As I say, if you listen to those stories, everyone has different things in their toolkit. Some things work for some people, some things don't work for somebody else. There isn't a one size fits all. And if you live with this condition, you will know that. But I think it's important that we say that there isn't one size that fits all. There isn't a magic formula, but there are lots of really good things out there that are going to help and are going to help you get back doing the things that you'd like to do. And just finally, I'd like to say that I was just blown away by the determination, the resilience, the strength of people we spoke to living with this condition. Some of the bravest, as I say, resilient people you'll ever come across. Absolutely amazing. It's not easy. It's not easy living with this condition, but we keep trying to find ways forward. And I just think it's absolutely amazing. So again, I wanted to thank everyone for their time, for giving me their time, giving the audience their time, sharing their personal stories, and to our experts for sharing their skills and knowledge with us. It's been absolutely amazing this first season. Now, we're going to take a break over the summer of 2021, but we will be back in the autumn with season 2, which is going to be super exciting. So we've listened to the hoof beats in season 1. I think season 2 is going to be, okay, we've listened to the hoof beats. What can we do to change the hoof beats now so that those hoof beats really do get listened to? So look out for some more amazing guests coming in season 2. I really hope you enjoyed this podcast. As I say, they're all on YouTube. They're all on Podbean. If you missed any one of those podcasts, please do go take a listen. Let us know what you think. And let us know if there's any guests that you would be particularly interested in hearing from, and we'll see what we can do. So until next time, thank you for listening. Have a wonderful summer wherever you are in the world. Take care and keep moving.